My beloved child. Stop scrolling for just a moment, because this story did not find you by accident. There is a reason your eyes landed here today, and before another second passes, I need you to hear every word. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. There is a chapter unfolding behind the scenes that you were never meant to witness, until now. Your soulmate reached a point where questions became louder than silence. They carried thoughts that refused to leave their heart. Every smile you shared, every word you spoke, every unexpected coincidence stayed in their mind until they could no longer ignore the mystery surrounding you. Instead of walking away, they searched for answers. Stay with me. Because what happened next changed everything. One evening, your soulmate made a decision they never imagined they would make. They quietly hired someone whose only purpose was to uncover the truth. An investigator. Someone experienced. Someone who believed every mystery could be solved. The assignment sounded simple. Find out everything. They expected ordinary information. They expected forgotten memories. They expected hidden mistakes. But heaven had prepared a story no human could predict. Don't skip. What comes next changes everything. The investigator began following every clue. They searched through places connected to your past. They spoke with people who had crossed your path years ago. They expected contradictions, secrets, or hidden motives. Instead, a completely different picture appeared. Every new discovery erased the assumptions they had started with. The deeper they searched, the stranger everything became. Your soulmate waited anxiously for updates, believing each phone call would finally answer every question. But every update only created even greater mystery. This doesn't make sense, the investigator whispered. There is something different here. Your soulmate could hardly breathe as those words echoed in their mind. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. Days passed. The investigation continued. The investigator uncovered moments that nobody had talked about for years. Small acts of kindness. Quiet sacrifices. Decisions you made without expecting recognition. Times when you chose compassion instead of pride. Moments when you helped someone who could never repay you. The investigator expected hidden darkness. Instead, they kept finding light. And the more they searched, the more impossible it became to explain. Don't look away now. Because this is where the story begins. Your soulmate started wondering if they had misunderstood you all along. Every assumption they once believed slowly collapsed. Every fear began disappearing. Every doubt became smaller. Yet one question remained unanswered. Why did so many people describe you with the same feeling? Not the same words. The same feeling. Peace. Hope. Comfort. The investigator had heard hundreds of stories throughout their career. But never this. Never like this. Something about your story refused to fit inside ordinary explanations. Stay with me. Your answer is closer than you think. Late one afternoon, the investigator uncovered one final piece. A conversation. A forgotten letter. A memory that had never reached your soulmate before. The moment they understood its meaning, everything stopped. Their voice became quiet. Their hands began shaking. For several long seconds, they couldn't even speak. Your soulmate waited impatiently. What happened? No answer. Only silence. What did you find? Still nothing. Then finally, the investigator looked up. Their face had completely changed. This is unlike anything I've ever discovered. Your soulmate leaned forward. Their heartbeat grew louder. Every second felt longer than the last. Don't skip. Because something huge is waiting for you. The investigator slowly explained that every road they followed kept leading back to one incredible truth. You were never pretending. You were never living behind a mask. Even during your hardest moments, your heart remained genuine. Even when life became difficult, you continued choosing kindness. Even when nobody noticed, you stayed faithful to who you truly were. The investigator admitted something they had never confessed during any previous assignment. I expected to expose secrets, but I only uncovered character. Those words echoed through the room. Your soulmate couldn't believe what they were hearing. Every fear that had lived inside them suddenly collided with overwhelming emotion. The walls they had built around their heart began falling one after another. Stay till the end. This is where everything starts changing. Then came the final revelation. The investigator placed one last document on the table. Your soulmate opened it slowly. Their eyes moved across each sentence. At first, confusion. Then surprise. Then complete silence. The investigator quietly admitted that reading those final details affected them so deeply they nearly collapsed from shock. Not because of scandal. Not because of danger. But because they had never seen someone leave behind such an extraordinary trail of compassion, quiet strength, and unseen sacrifices without asking for recognition. It completely shattered every expectation they carried into the investigation. Your soulmate closed the file. Their hands trembled. Tears quietly filled their eyes. Everything they believed about you suddenly became much bigger than they had imagined. Don't skip. Stay with me. What comes next changes everything. That night your soulmate couldn't sleep. Every page replayed inside their mind. Every memory suddenly carried a new meaning. Every conversation they once overlooked became precious. They realized something that frightened them. What if they had almost walked away from someone heaven had been quietly shaping through every season of life? That question stayed with them until sunrise. From that moment, their priorities changed. Their conversations changed. Even the way they looked toward the future began changing. Because they finally understood that real treasure is often hidden beneath ordinary moments. And sometimes, the greatest secret anyone can discover is the goodness that never asked to be seen. Stay till the end. Because this message may have reached you for a reason. If this story found your heart today, remember this. The truth about a person is not always found in rumors. It is revealed through consistent choices made when nobody is watching. Perhaps someone has misunderstood you. Perhaps someone has questioned your intentions. Perhaps your quiet faithfulness has gone unnoticed. But heaven never overlooks a sincere heart. The right people will eventually see what has always been there. And when they do, everything changes. Don't skip. Something huge is waiting for you. The next chapter has already begun. And what your soulmate chooses after this discovery may become the moment neither of you will ever forget. A quiet morning arrived, yet nothing inside your soulmate felt ordinary anymore. They tried to convince themselves that everything they had just learned was simply another report, another investigation, another collection of facts. But deep inside, they knew it was much more than that. The pages they had read refused to leave their thoughts. Every sentence echoed louder than the last. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. They walked through the day pretending everything was normal, but their heart kept returning to one question. How did I fail to see this before? Every conversation they had ever shared with you suddenly replayed in a completely different light. Words they once overlooked now carried deeper meaning. Small moments they thought were insignificant now felt priceless. It was as if an invisible veil had been lifted, allowing them to see your story with completely new eyes. Stay with me. What comes next changes everything. That same evening, the investigator made one unexpected request. There is one more thing you should know. Your soulmate froze. They believed the investigation had already ended. What else could there possibly be? The investigator slowly reached into a folder that had remained unopened until now. It wasn't another report. It wasn't another statement. It was a collection of moments, tiny stories shared by people who had crossed your path over the years. None of these people knew each other. Yet somehow, every story pointed toward the same truth. One person remembered how you encouraged them during one of the hardest seasons of their life. Another remembered your patience when everyone else had walked away. Someone else recalled a simple act of generosity that changed an entire week for their family. None of these moments had ever been posted for attention. None of them had been celebrated. They simply happened. And somehow, they all found their way into the investigator's hands. Don't skip. Something huge is waiting for you. Your soulmate could no longer hide their emotions. They placed the papers down and quietly whispered, "I never knew." The investigator nodded. That's because people like this rarely announce what they do. Silence filled the room. Not an uncomfortable silence. A meaningful one. The kind of silence that changes the way someone sees the world. Stay till the end. Your answer is closer than you think. As your soulmate drove home that night, the streets seemed unusually calm. The noise of the city faded into the background while one realization became impossible to ignore. They hadn't been searching for your secrets anymore. They had accidentally discovered your heart. And that discovery carried more weight than anything they expected. For the first time in a long while, fear was replaced with admiration. Doubt gave way to respect. Questions slowly transformed into hope. Stay with me. Because the story is far from over. Just when they thought there could be no more surprises, the investigator called once again. I almost forgot something. Those words immediately caught your soulmate's attention. There was one person I almost didn't interview. Why? Because they insisted they had nothing important to say. Your soulmate listened carefully. But when they finally spoke, the investigator paused. Everything became even clearer. This person described you using only one sentence. They make people feel seen. Nothing more. Nothing less. That single sentence lingered in the room. It sounded simple. Yet it carried extraordinary meaning. Your soulmate realized that this was something no investigation could fabricate. Respect cannot be forced. Kindness cannot be staged for years. Character leaves a trail that eventually speaks for itself. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. As the days continued, your soulmate found themselves looking at old memories in a completely different way. Photos brought smiles instead of questions. Conversations brought warmth instead of uncertainty. Even moments of silence now felt meaningful. They understood that the greatest discoveries are rarely dramatic. Sometimes the biggest revelation is simply realizing how extraordinary an ordinary person has been all along. And in that realization, something inside your soulmate quietly began to heal. A new chapter was opening. Not because the investigation uncovered hidden darkness, but because it revealed a light that had been there all along. Stay with me. Because the next chapter will reveal the decision your soulmate makes after learning the truth, and why that single choice changes both of your futures forever. The following days unfolded with a strange sense of anticipation. Nothing looked different on the outside, yet everything felt different within your soulmate's heart. They carried the investigator's words everywhere they went, unable to escape the feeling that their life had quietly shifted in a single moment. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. They tried to focus on their daily routine, but every ordinary task reminded them of you. A familiar street. A favorite song. A simple conversation. Even the smallest details awakened memories they had pushed aside for far too long. Then one evening, something unexpected happened. The investigator requested one final meeting. There is no new evidence, they said. But there is one last observation I couldn't include in the report. Your soulmate looked confused. What do you mean? The investigator took a slow breath before answering. Facts explain a person's history. But sometimes, they cannot explain the effect that person has on everyone around them. Stay with me. What comes next changes everything. The investigator described something remarkable. Every person they interviewed had a different background. Different ages. Different experiences. Different personalities. Yet despite all those differences, they all smiled at the mention of your name. Some smiled quietly. Others laughed while remembering old moments. A few even became emotional. It wasn't because you had lived a perfect life. It was because you had left people feeling valued. That was the one pattern no investigation could ignore. Don't skip. Something huge is waiting for you. Your soulmate lowered their eyes. For the first time, they realized they had spent so much energy searching for answers that they had overlooked what had been visible all along. The investigator gently added, I've completed hundreds of assignments. I've uncovered deception. I've exposed hidden motives. I've solved impossible mysteries. But I rarely leave an investigation feeling inspired. This time, I did. Those words settled deeply into your soulmate's heart. The room became completely silent. Not because there was nothing left to say, but because some truths are too powerful for immediate words. Stay till the end. Your answer is closer than you think. That night, your soulmate opened an old box filled with forgotten memories. Inside were photographs, small handwritten notes, tiny keepsakes they had almost thrown away. One by one, they looked at each item with new understanding. They noticed details they had never appreciated before. The kindness in your expression. The sincerity behind your words. The quiet confidence you carried without demanding attention. Every memory seemed to whisper the same message. You were always enough. Stay with me. Because the story is only getting deeper. As dawn approached, your soulmate made a decision they never expected to make. They stopped asking, "What if I discover another secret?" Instead, they started asking, "What if I almost lost someone truly extraordinary?" That single question changed everything. Fear slowly gave way to gratitude. Uncertainty became determination. Distance began turning into hope. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. A few days later, the investigator sent one final envelope. Inside was not another report. There were no documents. No interviews. No photographs. Only a single handwritten sentence. Some people are remembered for what they achieve. Others are remembered for how they make people feel. You belong to the second group. Your soulmate read those words again. And again. And again. Each time, they felt even more certain that this journey had never been about uncovering hidden secrets. It had been about discovering hidden value. The kind of value that cannot be measured. The kind that quietly transforms lives without asking for recognition. Stay with me. What comes next changes everything. As the sun set that evening, your soulmate stood in silence, reflecting on everything they had learned. They realized that trust is not built in dramatic moments. It is built through countless small choices made with honesty, patience, and compassion. They finally understood that your greatest strength had never been something loud enough to attract attention. It was your consistency. Your character. Your quiet ability to bring hope wherever you went. That realization filled them with both joy and regret. Joy because they finally saw the truth. Regret because they wished they had seen it sooner. Don't skip. Something huge is waiting for you. Without telling anyone, your soulmate quietly began preparing for the next step. Not another investigation. Not another search. But a conversation they had been postponing for far too long. They knew that some words could no longer remain unspoken. And as they gathered the courage to take that first step, they had no idea that one unexpected encounter was about to change the direction of both your lives forever. Stay till the end, because the next part reveals the conversation your soulmate never thought they would have, and why it becomes the turning point of this entire story. The morning of that long-awaited conversation arrived with an unusual calm, but inside your soulmate's heart, emotions were moving faster than ever before. They had rehearsed countless words in their mind, yet none of them seemed powerful enough to express everything they had finally come to understand. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. For several moments, they simply stood still. Not because they had changed their mind. but because they realized this conversation could become one of the most important moments of their life. Stay with me. What comes next changes everything. As they gathered the courage to move forward, something unexpected interrupted their plans. Their phone rang. It was the investigator. "I know my work is finished," they said softly, "but there is one last thing I couldn't stop thinking about." Your soulmate listened carefully. "What is it?" The investigator paused before answering. "Throughout this entire journey, I kept asking people about your story. But near the end, they stopped talking about your past. They started talking about your future." Those words immediately captured your soulmate's attention. "What do you mean?" They all believed the same thing. That someone with a heart like yours was meant for something greater than they could explain. Silence filled the call. Don't skip. Because something huge is waiting for you. After ending the conversation, your soulmate sat quietly for a long time. Every expectation they once had about love had changed. They no longer cared about appearances. They no longer cared about rumors. They no longer cared about opinions that had once influenced them. Now only one question remained. How do I rebuild the bridge between us? That question followed them everywhere. Stay till the end. Your answer is closer than you think. Later that afternoon, your soulmate visited a peaceful place where they often went whenever life became overwhelming. They sat on a bench, watching people pass by. Families laughed together. Friends shared stories. Children played without a single worry. For the first time in a long while, they weren't watching the crowd. They were reflecting on themselves. They realized the investigation had never truly been about discovering your secrets. It had uncovered something hidden inside their own heart. The fear of trusting again. The fear of being disappointed. The fear of opening their heart completely. And now, those fears no longer seemed as powerful. Stay with me. What comes next changes everything. Just as they prepared to leave, an elderly stranger sitting nearby smiled kindly and said something completely unexpected. You look like someone who finally found an answer. Your soulmate smiled politely. I think I did. The stranger nodded. Then don't let hesitation steal what clarity has given you. The words were simple. Yet they stayed with your soulmate long after they walked away. Sometimes wisdom arrives from the most unexpected places. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. That evening, your soulmate opened the investigator's folder one final time. Instead of reading every page again, they looked only at the very first sentence written on the cover. Seek the truth. They smiled quietly. Because now they understood. The truth wasn't hidden inside paperwork. It wasn't buried inside interviews. It wasn't locked inside forgotten memories. The truth had been quietly revealed through kindness, patience, honesty, and the countless lives you had touched without ever asking for recognition. That realization filled their heart with gratitude. Stay with me. Because the biggest moment is still ahead. Your soulmate picked up their phone several times. Each time, they typed a message. Each time, they erased it. Nothing seemed good enough. How could a few sentences explain weeks of reflection? How could ordinary words express an extraordinary realization? Finally, they whispered to themselves. No message can replace an honest conversation. And with that, they made a decision. No more waiting. No more wondering. No more searching. Only truth. Don't skip. Something huge is waiting for you. As the stars appeared that night, your soulmate felt a peace they hadn't experienced in a very long time. Not because every question had been answered, but because they finally knew which direction to walk. Little did they realize, however, that someone else had also been quietly watching this story unfold from a distance. A person connected to your past had just learned about everything that had happened. And the choice they were about to make would reveal one final truth that neither you nor your soulmate ever expected. Stay till the end. Because the next part reveals the hidden witness who has remained silent until now, and why their words become the final piece that changes this story forever. Meanwhile, far from where your soulmate believed the story had ended, another chapter was quietly beginning. A person who had remained completely silent throughout this entire journey finally decided it was time to speak. They had watched events unfold from a distance, never expecting their voice would matter. But now, they understood that keeping silent any longer would only leave the story incomplete. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. This person wasn't searching for attention. They weren't trying to change anyone's opinion. They simply carried a truth that had never been shared. When they reached out to your soulmate, the conversation began with an unexpected sentence. There is something you deserve to know. Your soulmate immediately recognized the sincerity in their voice. There was no drama. No exaggeration. Only honesty. Stay with me. What comes next changes everything. The hidden witness slowly described moments from years ago, moments your soulmate had never heard before. They spoke about times when you quietly encouraged someone who had lost hope. They remembered seeing you celebrate another person's success instead of seeking recognition for yourself. They recalled how you chose patience during situations where frustration would have been easier. None of these moments had been planned. None of them had an audience. They were simply reflections of who you were when no one expected anything in return. Your soulmate listened without interrupting. Every story added another piece to the picture that had been forming inside their heart. Don't skip. Because something huge is waiting for you. Then the witness smiled gently and said, "Do you know what surprised me the most?" Your soulmate shook their head. "You never realized how much of a difference you made." Those words settled deeply. Sometimes the greatest impact is made by people who never stop to measure it. Sometimes kindness travels farther than we ever imagine. And sometimes the seeds we plant quietly continue growing long after we've walked away. Stay till the end. Your answer is closer than you think. As the conversation continued, the witness revealed one final memory. There was a day when someone spoke unfairly about you. I expected you to defend yourself. But you didn't. You simply chose peace. Your soulmate closed their eyes for a moment. That single memory explained more than any investigation ever could. Character is often revealed not in moments of praise, but in moments of misunderstanding. Stay with me. What comes next changes everything. When the meeting finally ended, your soulmate stepped outside into the cool evening air. The sky was painted with soft colors as the sun disappeared beyond the horizon. For the first time in a long while, there were no questions left to chase. Only one decision remained. Should they continue living in silence? Or finally speak from the heart? The answer became clearer with every passing step. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. That night, they gathered every report, every handwritten note, every memory, and every page from the investigation. They looked at them one last time. Then, instead of keeping them as reminders of doubt, they carefully placed them back into the folder and closed it forever. The search had served its purpose. Not because it uncovered hidden secrets, but because it uncovered hidden truth. And that truth no longer needed proof. It had already transformed the heart of the one searching. Stay with me. Because the most important moment has finally arrived. As midnight approached, your soulmate picked up their phone once again. This time, they didn't erase the message. They didn't hesitate. They didn't overthink every word. Instead, they smiled quietly and whispered, "Tomorrow, I'll stop searching for answers, and start building a future." At that very same moment, without either of you realizing it, circumstances beyond your control were already moving into place. A meeting that neither of you had planned. A conversation that neither of you expected. And a moment that would remind both of you that some journeys are never about uncovering secrets, they are about discovering the courage to trust, to forgive, and to move forward together. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Because the next chapter reveals the unexpected reunion, and why a single conversation becomes the beginning of an entirely new story.